Welcome, aspirants. Let's get straight into it. Today, we're going to decode some of the most crucial current affairs from January 22nd that you absolutely need to have a handle on. This isn't just about knowing the facts. It's a focused session designed to give you that sharp, analytical edge for your exams. But before we begin, just a quick thought. This final leg of the journey, it's the toughest part. When you're this close to the finish line, your determination has to be stronger than ever. And that's exactly what we're here to do today. Not just cover topics, but to really sharpen your thinking for when it matters most. So, here's our game plan. We're starting with a deep dive into judicial accountability for GS Paper 2. Then, we'll check the economic pulse for GS 3. After that, we'll tackle the huge environmental issue of India's sinking deltas, and then a key internal security initiative. And to wrap it all up, we'll consolidate everything into a direct exam action plan. All right, let's dive right into our first big topic, judicial accountability. This is, a core area for GS Paper 2. But we're not just scratching the surface here. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the removal process for judges and, more importantly, the critical loopholes that make it, almost impossible to actually carry out. Okay, this is where the real complexity kicks in. The Constitution says the grounds for removal are proved misbehavior and incapacity. But, and this is a golden nugget for your mains answers, the Constitution never actually defines what those terms mean. It's this ambiguity that creates a huge loophole, and it sets the stage for a really complex, often political process, which is governed by the Judges' Inquiry Act of 1968. So, how is this supposed to work in practice? Let's just quickly walk through the 5 steps. First, you need a motion, and it requires a lot of MPs to sign on. Second, and this is a really key step, the Speaker or the Chairman gets to decide whether to even accept it. If it gets the green light, a 3-member committee investigates. If they find the judge guilty, it then goes to a very tough parliamentary vote. And finally, the President signs the removal order. As you can tell, it's a long and winding road. On paper, the whole process looks pretty robust, right? It's got multiple layers, seems fair. But this brings us to the most important question you should always be asking. Is this process really, truly free from political influence? Well, let's peel back the layers and see what's underneath. And here they are, the weak spots in the armor. The biggest loophole, without a doubt, is the absolute power given to the Speaker or Chairman. They can just reject the motion, flat out, without giving a single reason. They're essentially a political gatekeeper who can shut the whole thing down before it even starts. You combine that with the political nightmare of getting a special majority in both houses, and you get this incredible fact, perfect for prelims. Not a single judge in India's history has ever been removed this way. All right, let's switch gears and move on to our second topic, the economic pulse. This one's straight out of the playbook for GS Paper 3. We're going to tackle 2 really important developments: the whole idea of central bank digital currencies and a major cash injection into the MSME sector. There's so much noise around digital currencies, so let's just clear the air. This table lays it out perfectly. Look at private crypto versus the RBI's e-rupee, the CBDC. The e-rupee is issued by the RBI itself, which makes it actual sovereign-backed legal tender. Crypto? Not so much. And crucially, its value is stable because it's tied to our rupee, so you don't get that insane volatility you see in the crypto markets. The goal here isn't to decentralize finance. It's to create an efficient, traceable way to make digital payments and give the RBI better tools for monetary policy. Now, let's talk about a major policy decision that's going to have ripples across our economy. The Union Cabinet has given the go-ahead for a massive 5,000 crore rupee equity infusion. And where's all that money going? To the Small Industries Development Bank of India, or SIDBI. And this isn't just a one-time cash drop. The government is being pretty strategic about it. It's being phased in over 3 financial years. The big chunk, 3,000 crores, is coming this year. Then it's followed by 1,000 crores in each of the next 2. This shows it's a structured, long-term support plan, not just a quick fix. So why does this actually matter? What's the so what? Well, this money directly powers up SIDBI's ability to give funds to other banks and NBFCs. And what does that do? It opens up the credit taps for the MSME sector, the real engine of our economy. It also makes our whole banking system stronger by improving their capital ratios. But the real end goal? It's all about creating jobs, especially when you consider that a single MSME creates, on average, more than 4 jobs. Okay, next up, we're diving into a critical environmental topic, and this one's a fantastic example of interlinkage. It's relevant for GS Paper 1 in geography and for GS Paper 3 in environment. We're talking about India's Delta crisis. What's causing it? What are the consequences? And what's the government doing about it? First things first, let's make sure we're all on the same page. What even is a river delta? Simply put, it's that low-lying patch of land that forms when a river dumps all its sediment as it hits the ocean. Because that sediment is packed with nutrients, these areas are incredibly fertile. And because they're fertile, they end up being some of the most densely populated places on the planet. Now, look at this chart. It really paints a grim picture. The Brahmani and Mahanadi deltas are sinking by more than 5 millimeters every single year. The Ganga, Brahmaputra, Godavari, and Kaveri deltas are not far behind. This isn't some far-off futuristic problem, you guys. This is a crisis that is unfolding right now, and it needs serious attention. So what's behind this? As you can see here, the main culprits are pretty much all driven by human activity. The biggest single factor is we're pumping out way too much groundwater, which causes the land to literally compact and sink. Then you've got dams built upstream that are blocking the flow of sediment, starving the deltas of the very soil they need to survive. Throw in climate change and the sheer weight of our cities, and you've got a perfect storm for an ecological disaster. So what's the government's response? For your mains answers, you absolutely need to know these initiatives. Think of it as a multi-layered attack. You've got the Mishti scheme, which focuses on planting mangroves as a natural barrier. There's a broader national action plan for overall conservation. You've got schemes like SAME to encourage sustainable jobs. And you even have important actions at the state level, like Tamil Nadu protecting farmland in the Kaveri Delta. Okay, let's move on. We're shifting our focus now to internal security, another critical part of GS3. We're going to look at a really interesting border management initiative called the Vibrant Villages Program and the new role of the Central Armed Police Forces. This right here, it captures such a powerful and strategic change in thinking. The whole idea behind the Vibrant Villages program is to stop seeing our border villages as the last villages of India and to start thinking of them as our first villages. Now, that's not just playing with words. This change in perspective is fundamental. It shifts the entire focus from just security to deep integration and building confidence. And here's how that philosophy is being put into practice. The Ministry of Home Affairs has told CAPF and state police officers to actually spend 15 nights a year living in these villages. Now, yes, a key task is gathering intelligence, but the mission is just as much about building trust and a real connection with the people who live there. By helping with economic development, the ultimate goal is to turn the locals into force multipliers, making them active partners in our national security. Okay, we've covered a lot of territory today. Now, let's get to the most important part. How do you actually use all this? It's time to translate this information into your exam action plan. We're going to break this down into specific things for prelims and sharper analytical angles for mains. Okay, let's really boil this down. For prelims, you need to lock in these facts. The Judges Inquiry Act, 1968. Mishti, it's for mangroves. SIDBI headquarters, Lucknow, not a major metro. And for schemes like Atal Pension Yojana, know the key details. Age group 18 to 40, launched in 2015. Now for mains, it's about analysis. In GS2, when you talk about judicial reform, you have to bring up the speaker's discretionary power as that key loophole. For GS3, use the sinking deltas as a perfect case study for a human-accelerated disaster. And you should absolutely quote the Vibrant Villages program as a top-tier example of an integrated border management strategy. These are the points that will get you marks. And I'm going to leave you with this final thought, a classic main-style question to really wrestle with. As a future civil servant, how would you find that delicate balance between the constitutional need for an independent judiciary and the democratic need for accountability? There's no simple answer here. Think about it, structure your arguments, and be ready to defend your position. That's all for now. Keep pushing forward.